All right, good morning and welcome to the Weekly Jargon. I am Jose Rodriguez.
And Rohi Zachariah.
And today, Rohi, it's Saturday. We have a special edition of our Weekly Jargon. We couldn't get out this earlier this week. I think we both had some events to attend to. But nevertheless, we're here. Want to make sure we can provide you some weekly content and we keep that continuity. So what's going on, Rohi? What's the latest? What have you heard?
We got hit this week with two closures, for Madera at least. And
Right.
I think that's, outside of everything going around our community and our country, it's kind of hard hit.
Yeah, and I think at this time we'll take a small little pause just to kind of recognize the impacts it'll have, especially for our local families.
Yeah.
I mean, 200 employees that'll be impacted by the Mission Bells, and then you get another hit from JBT Food Tech, right? And that'll happen sometime in September, but nevertheless, it's another 57. So our hearts are out to those families, but know that Madera is strong. And I think, there's been a couple of our local officials also that have expressed concerns, but know that Madera County has resources to help some of these families transition. So if you're seeing us through this podcast, feel free to reach out, not only to ourselves individually. Rohi and myself sit on the city council, and we can certainly direct you and provide some of the resources available to help you transition during these times. But we're certainly saddened to hear that, because obviously our county, our city, is certainly impacted economically, and it's impacted by the families, obviously, that may be facing these layoffs. That's something I think that's going to be around here for some time. I did get a call yesterday from a prominent business owner and expressing some concern of what now, right? And this isn't a doom and gloom. This is things that do take place, obviously, with certain economic impacts that major businesses are facing. Now, I don't know too much about the Mission Bells. I'm assuming it's a winery, and there's wine involved. So I don't know how the wine industry is going, but certainly over 100 years here in Madera, which certainly impacts our family. Rohi?
Yeah, and just looking at some of the statistics, as far as across the country, it's showing that there's been a 54% decline in alcohol sales in general. And you just hear that. I don't know if it's the introduction of or legalization of things like marijuana that are, just taking over the pastime of people, but the use itself is definitely, it's in a decline. Like, just in general, people just don't drink as much as they used to. So again, I don't know if that's just, where this is coming from, and it's more of a financial, where the numbers just make sense to say, hey, look, we can consolidate resources into, wherever else those products are being made, or if it's just simply, I guess contractual, just things that just didn't, work out, that maybe they can get somebody else to take them over. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe that, you have a history, right,
exactly.
of that many years, and I'm sure there's been some folks out there that express some concerns. More so, if for me, I think more so is that every one of those families has a home, and obviously that requires the income to maintain that. That's where my heart is out to those families,
And they're
because
good jobs. It's not like it was minimum wage jobs. These were good jobs.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not going to speculate if those were union jobs, but if they were, that has a harder impact, because they're bargained to have good jobs, and those jobs obviously support the household in many cases, or half of the household, and that's certainly going to be an impact for those families. So again, I think whatever we can do to help in transition, or provide at least the resources that are out there and available.
Yeah.
I think our assembly member had provided that, and then County Supervisor Rogers had also provided that, and then other local representatives that certainly felt the impacts. But know that here at the city, we too feel that, and we want to make sure we can help with that transition.
Yeah.
Now, Rohi, I know you talked about the alcohol sales and volume, and I'd hate to say that would be the case, but statistics do show that there is a a decline in the consumption. And you were saying, well, maybe the youth now is going through something different. You know, there was a article stated that more and more folks, especially younger folks, are having a lot of coffee or some type of caffeine parties, right? And that certainly has an impact on alcohol sales, right? Whether it's wine. I mean, wine is a social gathering place. But if you look at how our society is heading, you know, seems like these social functions are becoming, you know, scarce more and more, right? I mean, we do see them when we go to certain events with the city, you know, weddings and what have you.
Yeah.
But I think in general, you know, maybe our generation today isn't really taking advantage of these social events that were very meaningful, especially for us growing up in an era where, you know, this is how you get around, this is how you network, this is how you get your business across, right? And I'm not trying to transition from these updates, but I just want to make sure, you know, that we provide some context. And we're not saying that this specific event or events that are taking place or transitioning over our economy have an impact here. We're just providing some opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here at the Weekly Guardian.
I mean, I think, and this is just coming from me, I think what you see a lot of is, you know, especially locally, you see the repercussions of some of the youth that are, you know, drinking and now getting DUIs and some of that implication that has in their life. And I think what happens with that too is the pressure socially says, hey, you know, I don't want to drink, like you said, if I'm going to go to a party, I'm probably not going to drink as much, or I'm going to be more aware of what I'm doing because there are, I heard, you know, this guy just got in trouble and I don't want to be that guy. You know, I don't know if there's that kind of pressure or if it's simply the fact that, like you're saying with, like, you know, these caffeine parties and stuff, it's just people, I know personally that's one of the reasons I don't like to drink a lot myself is, you know, if all of a sudden we just start having drinks this morning and it's like, you to some degree have a restriction, and that restriction is like, hey, you know what, I've had a little too much, I gotta hang out here now for a little bit, or I can't do the other thing that I was gonna do later on because I've had too much to drink. And I think that comes with, again, you could have the same argument with something like marijuana as well, where because to some degree they're mind altering in a way that is negative, right? I mean, like, if you drink too much, you're not gonna be able to do the things you would do when you're not drunk. Same thing if you were using marijuana, where I drink a bunch of coffee, I might be wigged out a little bit, but I can still go do my daily activity. I can get in my car and I can drive, not worried about being pulled over for being intoxicated. I might drive a little more crazy on my 5th cup of coffee, but I still can function in society. And again, the only thing I could associate all of that back together is to say, maybe the youth are just trying to get more done. You know what I mean, you see this fast-paced world of, I got all these things that I want to do, and I want to make more money, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and the only way that can be accomplished is by staying focused on in using something that doesn't take me off course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think, you know, when you see a decline in alcohol consumption, I mean, obviously you may think it's something good and positive for society, and it does, but it has a double-edged sword, right? Because with that decline, obviously comes, you know, the loss of manufacturing, the loss of producing and distribution. So therefore, that means the loss of jobs. And unfortunately, we don't. I mean, I can't say that that's what's going on with Mission Bells, but again. That impacts our community. This isn't doom and gloom because the county, like I said, is resilient. We do have a 0.8 vacancy when it comes to industrial. You know, you had the grand opening just recently with AutoZone, and you had other big county and/or city opportunities that are coming in. We still have our Village D up here on the west. We have Madera County on 12 and 41 development going out there as well. So with that comes demand for products, demand for whatever the case may be. But that certainly leaves opportunities for a lot of other folks. Now, the transition over to JBT, now that one also kind of hurt me a bit because Jim Beam Technologies, I visited that plant here years back when I was running for the school board, and I wanted to know what they produce, right, and how much impact they have in our community, because they also have a relationship with our the community college, right? They have some equipment out there where folks can get the hands-on training, especially for the machinery that they have and the engineering that they have with this machinery. Part of the FMC Foods, they've been around for a long time, and I can tell you that a lot of folks that have retired from that company have made a life here in Madera. And it's sad to see that they'll be laying off 57 jobs, Rohi, and that's pretty big.
Yeah. No, and with them, they're close to our heart because of robotics. I mean, they were at some of our early conceptions. They were really heavily involved with and supported our as we get here.
Yeah. I guess, and as we're going through this, we just happen to get a Saturday edition, right? We have our gentleman that's blowing the debris out.
It gives us a chance to drink my cup of coffee.
There you
here,
go.
And just to show how comical it can be around.
Yeah, and that's how it is here at the Weekly Jargon, right? This is a Saturday edition, and if we can face our camera there, we can see that we do have some maintenance being done around here, which is great. Shows that people are doing their jobs here on Saturdays.
I love it. So with JBT, I mean, and they have supported our robotics program very strongly because they believe and understood that our program produces potential engineers that they need and workforce. I mean, you got to remember that. We've had one of our alumni is actually one of their top engineers there. So I think because they were seeing the connection early on, they were very big about partnering and being with us, because it's an understanding that all of these industries, you can hope and pray that some kid is going to go to school, want to be an engineer, and then come back to Madera, right? Or you can grow that, and that was something that, again, they believed in, and they saw the fruits of that. I mean, they've been getting a lot of our students that have come out that have shown to excel in their program. So not just like, I'm picking up Jose and he's just some random guy and I'm going to teach him how to use this machine. No, this kid's actually been playing with it and he's excelling, and he already has the skill set that's needed, and even more so than maybe some of our senior staff that have actually been on hand 3, 4, 5 years, because again, they've been on hands-on. So it's sad because now that program may suffer some of those partnerships and financing as well. There's going to be that trickle-down effect you'll see to other programs. So
yeah, no, for sure. And one of the things that I did leave out was with the distribution center with AutoZone. If you go down 99, you'll start seeing that. I mean, it's a pretty huge warehouse, but you also have the development of that casino that's coming out, right? And as city officials, we can't really get involved too much in there, but personally, when you see something like that really expanding and just over the weeks, just they're starting to really, they're pacing this pretty fast, and it seems like that also opens up opportunities for our community, our county, our city. Yeah. You think of the jobs, and some may argue that these are just supplemental or substitute jobs, so to speak, because there's other casinos in the surrounding vicinity that also provide those jobs. But again, there's litigation, and we're not going to get into the details of that, but we see the development. It's hard not to go through the 99, not see, what is that? People have asked me, what is that? Well, I mean, as big as it sounds, as big as it looks, it's going to be the place of the casino, right? Yeah. So, and that's promising news, right? I mean, I think for people that look at Madera and say, wow, this city and this county certainly have the potential to become a very big industrial manufacturing distribution. I mean, we're right next to the 99 corridor. Again, if there's anyone looking and wanting to bring your business to Madera, feel free to reach out to myself or Rohi. You can always reach out to our EDC, the Economic Development Commission, and we can certainly put you in the right place. But Rohi, one thing, when we talk about these local updates, and we see these news, devastating news that impact our community, we still have to look at it in a positive light, right? There's I mean, as bad as it sounds, like we said it earlier, it's not just happening here in Madera. I mean, this would be the last place you wanted to impact, but we go through these. I go through these social media sites where you get the stores that are closing, right?
Yeah.
And you start seeing like, wow, I would have never thought that this store or this chain of stores would be impacted by the economic downturn, so to speak. And nevertheless, you're not immune to it. And I think, this would be a case of certain decisions that economically make sense for whomever is at the top, right?
Yeah, but it's not, and it's not a doom and gloom. It's a restructuring, and I think that's really the bigger picture. Is while some industries are maybe going to fade out, it's just an opportunity to realize what is thriving right now. Like technology and AI, and these huge data centers that are going to be built. I mean, there are manufacturers in Madera that are a part of that. So it's not all doom and gloom. It may be just a realization that some of those people that are engineers or skilled staff, those guys may be looking for them, and there's those job opportunities as well. It's just every business at some point has to do the numbers, and it has to make sense. And when it doesn't, this is just what it is. I mean, you can't just continue knowing that we're going to run into the ground. Now, some do. I mean, I was watching or reading an article this morning about like Saks Fifth Avenue, and their bankruptcy filing. And you think, like you said, like, man, like, why are they in such trouble? Like, what happened? They didn't close. They got to go through a restructuring, and at their level, that just means that
They may be
proceeding at
downsizing,
chapter
yeah.
leveling, and
Yeah.
but they're going to keep going. But this is just, unfortunately, I don't want to blame COVID and this ramp up, or it could be the tariffs. It could be, there's a bunch of things that we could speculate that it's about. But I think at the end of the day, it's happened, and how can we move forward?
Yeah.
And what is that going to look like? What does it look like, at our level? Like, how do we support it? Because I think it's said time and time again that Madera, being the cost of housing and the availability now of like the industrial parks that we built, like, it's still a very ideal location if you're going to do manufacturing, to do business here. You know what I mean? So it just may be, again, not making wine anymore, or with a food tech, JBT Food Tech. I mean, it just may be a transitioning into the new industries or whatever is to come. So
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, Romy, because like you said, Madera is very resilient, and I've been here through some financially or economic downturns, and one that affected Madera just like it affected most of the states was the recession, the crisis that we had during the housing in 2008, and a lot of families got impacted by the hits, right? I mean, a lot of folks lost their homes. And we talk about it now like it was yesterday, but we got over it, right? And soon after, different sectors of our community were affected. You saw the hospital back in 2023, 2022, got impacted by, again, COVID, the ramp up in COVID, and trying to get the services needed. And they too had to file a chapter, was it a chapter 11 or 13? I'm sorry. But anyways, they filed for it, right? And again, when someone picked them up, they picked them up with bringing back some of those jobs.
Yeah.
And at this point, there's still some of those jobs. When that took place, it did have an impact in the community because they too hired quite a few employees, right? You could imagine the hospital and how many employees it takes to run one, right? So like you said, I think it's the restructuring. When something of that size goes away, then there's opportunity for another company, and that's what we anticipate, is that someone will fill that vacancy and make something good of that in manufacturing, distribution, or some other job that provides some type of service center, and we'd like to see those jobs back up and running.
Yeah.
Right? But like you said, I think Madera is still very ripe in bringing in that industrial manufacturing and data centers and what have you, right? We welcome that. And if you're listening from wherever you're at, across the states or maybe across the world, make sure you look at Madera, put it down your map, come see us, and we'd be more than happy to guide you and give you a tour of what's available for us.
Yeah, I think you got to remember we're not operating in a vacuum. If we're seeing the struggles here, I can almost guarantee every community is as well. You know what I mean? So I don't think Madera people should think like, you know, what's going on? What's going on with Madera? It's happening across the country and across the world. This little bit of a shrinking economy, but again, we've talked about it before. It's just understanding that if there's going to be a consolidation, Madera just needs to be prime and ready to say, hey, wherever you think you're going to go or consolidate, just make sure it's here, you know. And I've heard, I mean, again, some of the industries that we still have here have talked about that, you know, they have counterparts in other parts of the country, for instance, but Madera still outproduces those counterparts. Madera, the workforce, everything that they do is better done here than it is elsewhere. So again, if those people are listening or are taking in that, it just means that we are very much, there are statistics that show that plants built here are going to do better than your plants you might have somewhere else. So, you know, I would really have them consider that it's a right position maybe for them to say like, hey, we were looking for another location, or we were looking to move anyways. Madera is the place to go.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, over the last couple of years, I think you've seen an exodus with some companies, you know, and primarily relocating to different areas. But, you know, I think you made a point earlier, Rohi, is that if you see a decrease in consumption of alcohol, I mean, moving elsewhere isn't going to stop the decrease in consumption of alcohol. Now, it can limit your cost a bit, but it's still not going to, it's inevitable that if this is the trend, then, I mean, regardless of where you move, if you're not producing the alcohol to meet the demand, then you have no business, right? That's what I'm saying, is that I think it's important to recognize that there are times where certain companies may pay excessive amounts, and obviously they'll blame the state or they'll blame local politics, and sure enough, that may be justifiable for you to say, I'm going to relocate. But in cases like this, and again, we may be jumping the gun too soon, but you know, when you see that a consumption decreases there, then that could be that. And the wine industry, it's not just Mission Bells. The wine industry in itself, and this is, if you read this, you'll see news telling you that, you know, wineries are facing this economic issue here because, again, the consumption is not there.
Yeah, and a good, you know, a good business person right now, whether it's those people in those positions or wherever they are, they have to be looking at, when one thing is given up, something else is replacing it. Like you said, if it's coffee, then maybe it's time to get a coffee producer out here. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be in that mindset to not be stubborn and say, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing even though we see the decline. You have to be forward thinking and saying, okay, this is not working. Where are we going now? What's the future? You know, you got to get some of those futurists to kind of think 5-10 years from now, what's going to be the big thing? What are people going to want to spend their money on? And that's where, you know, you need to put the investments into, and being enticing to that. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it's just, you know, the distribution locations, because I mean, the Amazons and all those guys, I mean, those are great jobs, and people are going to consume those items. But if it's manufacturing jobs you're after, what are we going to be manufacturing the 5 and the 10 years from now that people are going to want? That we need to start, you know, opening those factories. You know. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I think something to be said there, and you know, that's what it is. And I think in our local update chapter today, especially on a Saturday, we thought it'd be important for us to have this, just to let people know that you know, it's not doom and gloom. We still have, Madera is still very resilient, and we've proven that time over time. I did fail to mention, Rohi, that today the Madera District Fairgrounds is hosting the free smog check. So I believe they were going to start at 10 o'clock. It is now 10:02. So if you do have a car and you want to check the smog check, They do it for free. If it fails, they'll give you a voucher up to $500 so you can take it to a local repair that they've contracted with so that they can get your car up and running.
Nice.
And they may have other programs there. Again, this is through Valley Can, partnership with the San Joaquin Valley Air, which I'm proud to be part of. But if
Yeah,
you're
so we
out
saw you
there,
on TV. We were like,
Yeah.
oh, I know that guy.
well, I mean, hey, you know, it's a good thing, right? I hope, you know, we take some of that advice that we provide. Again, there's so many different incentives out there. What we're trying to do here in Madera, because our geographical location, we're faced with sometimes some of the poorest air quality in the state. Again, because a lot of that is trapped. We're in a bowl surrounded by mountains. And, you know, these incentives are there to help reduce the emissions that are produced by or what they call the nitrate oxides that are produced a lot by the emissions that we contribute with our vehicles. Again, not to say that we're anti-fuel or fossil fuel. It's just a matter of how do you provide cleaner energy to have healthier air. And one can take that in a very political way. This is not political. This is only a way of saying, hey, get out there, get your car smogged, get it checked, and if it doesn't pass, they'll provide you with the voucher.
Nice.
That's part of our local updates. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is our Saturday edition. I hope you guys find this interesting and hopefully informative. But if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know if you'd like to talk about other topics. We'd be more than happy to bring that up. With that, Rohi, we'll say thank you again for watching.